10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, my friends. And thank you so much for coming to spend part of your Wednesday, December 20th, with me. We have a decision from Judge Carroll in the Maya case. So many of you sent it to me. So many of you wanted to talk about this. And so here we are. And this may be your third time tonight hearing this motion or this order. But, you know, we're here to please. So what can we do? Kurt is backstage from Uncivil Law. I heard one of you said in the chat that he wanted the link. So I did not watch his show because I was getting ready for this show. So I don't know what his opinion is yet. So this is going to be interesting. Let's go over it together, shall we? And then we will call Kurt up and he can talk to you. Well, he's already talked to you if you watched, but here we go. Judge Carroll's order was filed today, I think, maybe around, I don't know, 6 o'clock this evening. A couple of you sent it to me, and I know a couple of you were watching the docket and probably refreshing it all day and refreshing it all day. There's also a pro hoc vice motion in there for another attorney to come in from another state to be admitted to help represent in this case. So we've been talking at length about the attempts that the defense has made for many, many things, including a new trial, overturn the verdict, reduce the verdict, anything that they can possibly do or get the judge to do to prevent them from having to pay the $261 million that the jury awarded the Kowalskis. And so after many motions that we have gone over together and many responses and many derogatory responses regarding juror number one and lots of pejorative things that were said, in my opinion, about juror number one and a public outing of juror number one, the judge has finally agreed today, right before Christmas, to grant the defense an interview of juror number one. Let's take a look at the decision, shall we? This is an order permitting a limited juror interview. I have not had the opportunity to read the entire thing because, you know, life, 5 kids, etc., etc. So we will be looking at some of this as a genuine reaction together for the first time. The jury in this case rendered its verdict against defendant Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in both the compensatory and punitive damages phases. Defendant filed its motion seeking a new trial based on alleged juror misconduct of juror number one, requesting a juror interview together with expansive discovery. Defendant has supplemented that motion 3 times in writing. Plaintiffs responded in opposition. Defendant's motion weaves together several alleged violations of the court's instructions. Give me a second here to fix this the way I like it. Defendant's motion weaves together several alleged violations of the court's instructions or misstatements on the juror questionnaire. During argument, defendant contends that while each in isolation may not rise to the level requiring a juror interview, the cumulative nature of them, according to the defendant, shows a predisposition on the part of juror number one to violate the court's orders, which had a material effect on the verdict. The foundation of much of defendant's motion is defendant's continued insistence that juror number one's questions of witnesses during trial showed bias against defendant. The court previously decided that issue adverse to defendant. Plaintiffs contend that no juror interview should be permitted. In summary, plaintiffs contend that defendant did not meet the standard for a juror interview and that defendant is too late with their complaints. Plaintiff suggests that defendant's basis for the juror interview is based on rampant speculation. Plaintiffs also present contrary evidence disputing the theme of defendant's motion. Florida Rule of Civil Procedure 1.431H governs requests for juror interviews in a civil case. The rule provides. Actually, it was filed at 4:38 p.m. Eastern Time today. H. Interview of a juror. A party who believes that grounds for legal challenge to a verdict exist may move for an order permitting an interview of a juror or jurors to determine whether the verdict is subject to the challenge. The motion must be served within 15 days after rendition of the verdict, unless good cause is shown for the failure to make the motion within that time. The motion must state the name and address of each juror to be interviewed and the grounds for challenge that the party believes may exist. After notice and hearing, the trial judge must enter an order denying the motion or permitting the interview. If the interview is permitted, the court may prescribe the place, manner, conditions, and scope of the interview. Although trial courts should be hesitant to grant motions for post-trial juror interviews, such interviews are proper where there are reasonable grounds to believe misconduct has occurred. Citing Barrios v. Locastro, a Florida case from 2015. The second district has summarized the general standard applicable to a motion for new trial based on juror misconduct. An inquiry is not permitted unless the moving party has made sworn factual allegations that, if true, would require a trial court to order a new trial using the standard adopted in State v. Hamilton, which is a Florida case from 1991. And Baptist Hospital, another Florida case from 1991. Under the Hamilton standard, the moving party must first establish actual juror misconduct. The movement is entitled to a new trial unless the opposing party can demonstrate that there is no reasonable possibility that the juror misconduct affected the verdict. I need to highlight this pertinent portion here. Actual juror misconduct. Citing Nationwide Mutual Fire Insurance Company versus Tucker, another Florida case from 1992. Juror interviews are appropriate only to investigate matters extrinsic to the verdict. Inquiry into the individual thought processes, calculations, or judgments of the jurors is prohibited. Citing Cummings and Snook, two cases from 1981 and 1986. Quote, in order to constitute juror misconduct and therefore a matter extrinsic to the verdict, sufficient to set aside the verdict, or for a post-trial jury inquiry, Florida and other courts have consistently held that some objective act must have been committed by or in the presence of the juror or a juror which compromised the integrity of the fact-finding process. Okay, well, contrast this case with the case of the Murdaugh alleged jury tampering with Court of Clerk Becky Hill. A motion for juror interview need not conclusively establish juror misconduct. The moving party must only establish a basis for inquiry. Citing Albertsons v. Johnson from 1983, Sconyers v. State, 1987. Where there is a sufficient basis for inquiry, it is appropriate to grant a juror interview, allowing the moving party an opportunity to prove, if possible, an entitlement to relief based on the allegations. As the court noted before trial, this is a case of intense public interest. It has generated significant media attention over the span of years, locally, nationally, and internationally. And hello to all my international viewers. I appreciate you so much because I know that across the pond and in Europe, it is very late right now. So thank you if you're here watching from overseas. If you're in Australia, it's already tomorrow, so I think it's okay for you guys. The media coverage has consisted of newspaper and television accounts, and very recently a national magazine article, print and online, a streaming movie on Netflix released June 19th, 2023, podcasts, a potential book, and other comprehensive print, television, and online coverage. News accounts detail that as of July 3rd, 2023, the movie has been streaming more than 10 million times internationally, and it reached as high as number 2 on Netflix US movies category. Don't know how they know that it's been streamed more than 10 million times internationally, because Netflix does not release its numbers, so that's interesting to me. Attending the trial daily were members of traditional media as well as members of various internet communities. Oh, internet communities. I guess that's us, you guys. Who reported on the trial to viewers on various platforms. Pretty much just one platform, mostly YouTube, but they didn't say that. There were 2 media cameras in the courtroom each day, beginning with opening statements, and the feed was broadcast in real time on the internet and picked up by various internet shows, either live or in recaps. Additionally, the court operated a Zoom webinar with 4 different camera angles, and members of the public were allowed to access but not rebroadcast the court's Zoom webinar feed. Parenthetically, members of the media attended both the individual questioning and group questioning of prospective jurors, but the media chose not to broadcast jury selection. The court also had an overflow courtroom, so additional members of the public could attend jury selection. The court notes the daily broadcast of the courtroom proceedings to give context to the motion and response. Plaintiffs allege that some portions of defendants' arguments are based on investigations conducted at defendants' request by various internet communities, aka Reddit, favorable to defendant. Defendant has not denied that belief, but has not expressly agreed to it either, because quite frankly, that would be really embarrassing in open court to say, hey, judge, we pulled this theory directly from Reddit, as we went over on a prior live stream. And we had receipts as well. The court will later address the concern about either side deputizing an online community to take actions that party cannot do itself. I am going to read this again because this, to me, is the highlight of this motion. The court will later address a concern about either side deputizing an online community to take actions that party cannot do itself. What say you, my friends? What say you? Much of defendant's initial motion focuses on the alleged actions of juror number 1's spouse. Defendant's motion states that juror number 1's spouse attended the trial on October 30th, 2023. Defendant points to screen captures from the media feed that depict a woman believed to be juror number 1's spouse talking with another person in the gallery, whom defendant identifies as Jules, who apparently has her own online show on TikTok and who would call into other online programs on YouTube. Defendant contends that Jules was pro-plaintiff, going so far as accusing Jules of being plaintiff's agent. Defendant's suggestion that Jules was plaintiff's agent is mostly conjecture. Attorney Greg Anderson issued an affidavit rejecting that Jules was plaintiff's agent. Defendant also points to social media posts during the trial made by an online account that has been attributed to juror number 1's spouse. Defendant argues that juror number 1's spouse heavily was pro-plaintiffs. To suggest juror misconduct, defendant baldly asserts, and here's the next t-shirt that's going to be coming, you guys, it strains credulity. Strains credulity to believe that juror number 1 and his spouse were not discussing the case in violation of this court's instruction. Defendant seeks to piece together occurrences in the trial to suggest there must have been discussions between them. In reviewing the posts attributed to juror number 1's spouse objectively, though, the court observes that they are not necessarily indicative of improper communication or other misconduct. Regardless, there were no court instructions that restrained any juror's family member from watching the trial or publicly expressing their view about the case. In this context, the court currently does not believe it necessary to interview juror number 1's spouse. Well, thank God for all that is holy and the traveling Mary and all of that. There were, however, constant instructions to the jury not to discuss the case with anyone, not to receive any information about the case outside the courtroom, and not to investigate any aspect of the case. There were also instructions not to review any media coverage of the case, and the jurors were instructed to report anyone attempting to approach the jurors. While defendants' assumptions that juror number 1 and his spouse spoke about the case certainly is not evidence, the court concludes, under these very unique facts, that the defendant has made a sufficient showing for an interview of juror number 1. There's no question mark there. That was my own inflection in surprise. The court therefore concludes that a limited juror interview is appropriate in this case. Where an interview is permitted, Rule 1.431H provides the court may prescribe the place, manner, conditions, and scope of the interview. There is some authority that would permit the court to allow the juror interview to occur in private outside the presence of the public and the media. See Sentinel v. Edwards, 1980. Counsel has a right to be present during the juror interview as well as to retain a court reporter to report the proceeding. The court, instead of counsel, may conduct the interview. Case law prohibits any inquiry into any matter that inheres in the verdict itself. Citing Mailer. Putting this more directly, juror number 1's thought process about the evidence and juror number 1's discussion with the other jurors during their deliberations are not proper subjects of a juror interview and will not be allowed. Juror number 1's position, if any, with respect to the case for or against any party is beside the point. The issue is whether juror number 1 engaged in the misconduct alleged. The issue is whether, you know how I hate typos and grammatical errors, you guys, but there's one right there. This interview, though, will not include each topic contained in the motion and the supplements. The court will not address with juror number 1 the matter involved in the second supplement. In the second supplement, defendant points to juror number 1's handwriting on an October 12th, 2023 juror question. Defendant posits. 2. An excerpt from the website of Simon Wiesenthal Center documenting the appearance of a uniform badge of the Nazi German Schutzstaffel, or SS, is attached as Exhibit B. It will be noted that in Exhibit A, juror number 1 has printed the letter S throughout the note normally with a curve in the spine, except that he printed his S with sharp angels. Really? Sharp angels. That says sharp angels. Typo number 2. I probably missed one already, so it could be number 3. With printing Dr. Sally Smith's name. Both the second and third times that the juror number 1 prints Dr. Sally Smith's name, the letter S is shaped in a manner identical to the symbol of the Nazi Schutzstaffel exhibited in Exhibit B. Printing the first letter of Dr. Smith's first and last name in this manner makes clear that juror number 1's bias and prejudice against Dr. Smith, and thus defendant, equating Dr. Smith with a notorious Nazi organization. In addition, juror number 1 on October 10th, 2023, printed Exhibit C, in which he effectively prejudged, again, another typo, should say prejudged, the relationship between defendant and Dr. Smith, equating with one with the other. This issue is waived or untimely or both for at least 2 separate independent reasons. There's a shining light in this entire decision. First, defendant saw juror number 1's handwriting on that juror question when it was asked, and in fact had a copy of it during the trial. The court, after reviewing each juror question, handed the attorneys the actual question written by each juror, meaning that each attorney could visualize the handwriting. Further, during the trial, defendant asked for, and the court arranged for, defendant to obtain all juror questions, including juror number 1's question, during trial. Defendant did not raise, in its motion to disqualify juror number 1 made during trial or at any time before the second supplement, any suggestion that juror number 1 equated Dr. Smith to being a Nazi. And that would be because they didn't yet see the Reddit thread. Second, defendant filed the second supplement more than 15 days after the jury verdict. Rule 1.431H required defendant to include its grounds in its motion that had to be served within 15 days after rendition of the verdict. This 15-day rule implements the strong public policy against allowing litigants either to harass jurors or to upset a verdict by attempting to ascertain some improper motive underlying it. Citing Maya, which is interesting, v. Kennedy, a case in Florida from 1999. That the second supplement issue is either waived or untimely or both means the court does not need at this time to evaluate whether defendant had a good faith basis when counsel signed and filed the second supplement. To be clear, the court is not reaching that issue. And that, my friends, I submit to you, is quite unfortunate because the court needs to reach that issue. But I digress. The court does, though, caution all counsel for deputizing an internet community to do indirectly that which an attorney is expressly prohibited to do directly. See Florida Rule of Professional Conduct 4-3-5, D4, which previously has been found to be constitutional. Prohibits attorneys from having direct or indirect post-trial communications with jurors in a civil case, except as outlined, I should say, in Rule 1.431H. The court also will not address with juror number 1 the matter involved in the third supplement. In that supplement, defendant claims juror number 1 falsely answered during voir dire that he had not previously been a victim of a crime. Defendant only recently has provided documents indicating juror number 1 sought and received an injunction for protection against repeat violence in Charlotte County, Florida in 2016. Defendant asserts it learned this information after entry of the verdict, but this third supplement raising this claim was filed several weeks after the 15-day deadline under Rule 1.431H and does not attempt to show good cause for this delay. Accordingly, this claim is untimely. Well, at least Judge Carroll agrees that good cause does not equal there was a delay because that's when the Reddit people told me. The court believes an interview of juror number 1 is sufficient to address the issues raised by defendant, and there is no need for invasive discovery, such as forensic searches of phones or computers. The only topics on which the court will permit an interview of juror number 1 are: number 1, whether juror number 1 received or shared information about the subject matter of the trial through outside sources, including his spouse. Number 2, whether juror conducted an investigation about the subject matter of the trial, including looking up websites. Number 3, juror 1's knowledge of Deborah Salisbury, if any, at the time juror number 1 completed the supplemental questionnaire. Number 4, whether juror number 1 had an undisclosed opinion concerning DCF or any prior entity during jury selection. And whether and to what extent juror number 1 and DCF or any prior entity were involved in Broward County Circuit case number blank. In this case, the court will decline to interview juror number 1 in a place other than open court. He wants to interview juror number 1 in open court. Public confidence in the process is important, and the court will therefore conduct the interview in open court. The court will be the person to ask the questions of juror number 1. After the court has completed its questions, the court will permit the parties to suggest to the court additional concepts that the court may ask juror number 1. Additional concepts? I don't even know what that means. Additional concepts. Additional questions? We're going to go into whole other concepts of... Okay, hang on. It is therefore ordered, 1, that the court will allow a limited juror interview only on the topics identified in this order and under the conditions referenced in this order. Number 2, defendant is ordered immediately to send juror number 1 a subpoena via process server or sheriff, directing juror number 1 to attend the juror interview, which is currently set for 3 p.m. on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, in courtroom 2A at the Silvertooth Judicial Center, 2002 Ringling Boulevard, Sarasota, Florida. Defendant shall also include in the service package a copy of this order, copy of the notice of hearing, a copy of defendant's original motion for juror interview, and a copy of the first supplement to the motion. When defendant files the return of service and copy of the subpoena, the defendant shall file a notice of confidential information identifying the clerk to redact the address of juror number 1. Oh, great. Anywhere in any of the papers filed. The defendant shall refer to this order directing the clerk to keep juror number 1's address exempt from public disclosure. Done and ordered. Sarasota County, Florida, on December 20th, 2023. Loved Judge Hansa Carroll and served on just about everybody. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everyone involved in this case. Here's your present from Judge Carroll. I haven't had the chat open because I had to put it on full screen so that I could actually read that. So my reaction is this. I've said all along that my opinion was that the judge was going to allow an interview, a limited interview in chambers. That was my opinion. And that was, in my opinion, that was the right thing to do. Bring the juror in, ask him 3 questions. Did you do any outside research? Did you talk to anybody about the case? Did you, look up Dr. Kirkpatrick's website? Whatever he wants to ask him with regard to now it's limited to the first supplement and the original motion. But for me, for him to do this in open court at a location that everybody now knows about, is a big problem for me. I have a lot of concerns. A lot of safety concerns. People on both sides of this case are highly, highly emotional. And I'm highly emotional about this right now because I am a big believer, as you know, in the Constitution, procedure, and following the rule of law. And if the case law in Florida says that they're entitled to an interview, they are entitled to an interview. And I think under certain limited instances, perhaps here, and I've said all along, I thought that Judge Carroll would grant an interview that he would conduct himself, not that he would open it up to concepts of whoever else wanted to ask concepts of juror number 1. And I certainly, sure as hell, didn't think that he was going to do it in open court. It does not say whether or not he's going to allow cameras in the courtroom. I would be interested to know if there would be any restrictions around the cameras, like perhaps the cameras would not be allowed to show juror number 1 on the stand. But this kind of sort of frightens me in a lot of ways. And as I have been saying all along since this whole juror number 1 issue was raised, Hill Ward Henderson will single-handedly bring down the jury system in the United States, and maybe even anywhere else that the jury system is used. There was a viewer in my chat the other day, or it came into the comments, or no, I think it was in the chat actually. She said, Melanie, I was on jury duty yesterday, and one of the people on the panel, one of the prospective jurors, actually said to the judge, Judge, I saw the Maya Kowalski case and I don't want to serve. So it's already happening, people. It's already happening. And this should frighten you. This should frighten you as a United States citizen. This should frighten you as a potential juror. This should frighten you as someone who watches jury trials, who likes to go to court and watch trials. This is frightening. I'm going to go to the chat for a second before I bring Kurt in here because, like I said, I didn't hear what he... It does say cameras are allowed. I didn't see that anywhere on here unless there's a different order. I did say somebody comment before the stream that Kurt said that he was volunteering to represent juror number 1, and I think that would be a fantastic idea. So I believe, and we know, that Judge Carroll is very rarely overturned on appeal. I think he's got a very good record, and I've said from the beginning, I thought he was going to do this because I thought that he wanted to dot all his I's and cross all of his T's, and that if he did not allow an interview, a limited interview at least, in this case, that he could be could have issues on appeal. It's going to go to appeal anyway. But the fact they're going to do this in open court is what really frightens me the most. I don't think that's proper, and I think it's real scary. And I can see people in the chat saying it's horribly scary. LV. Laura, hi Laura, thanks for the super sticker. I lost Kurt. Wait, hold on. I need you to channel your anger and sass. Well, I'm not as angry as I was about the Schutzstaffel thing, but the more I think about it, I think the more angry that I'm going to get. So just give me a moment, because I did just read that with you for the first time, and the more I digest this, I think the more passionate I'm going to get about this. I like to call it passion. Some people call it anger, snark, sass. Thank you, Terry Workman, for your super chat. Thank you for all you do to keep us informed. You're great. Thank you. And it's always, at a moment's notice, drop of a hat, which is why I didn't get a chance to read this entire thing before. And I didn't watch. I know Recovery Addict did it. And I know Kurt did it. And I didn't watch either of them on purpose, because I wanted to give you my own true reaction. This is like a real reaction video. Thank you, Jane, for becoming a YouTube member. And hello, Matt Bond. Doesn't this kill public confidence in the process? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I watched Kurt's stream today on Trump. I'm going to bring him in now because, I need to hear his take on this and tell me maybe that I'm not in the Twilight Zone and I am not crazy. Kurt, give me the thumbs up whenever you're ready to be on camera. Hello.
I think this order is an atrocity to all that's good and right. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just wanted to remind you of my channel rules that we don't do the cursing words here. And I know that you're
There was no cursing in that.
I know there was
good.
I wanted to remind you of the rules, because last time we had such a stream. Oh, here.
All right. So apparently it's just me now on the channel. So welcome to Uncivil Law again. I hope all you are doing great out there in the Uncivil Law Army now that I've kicked Melanie off her own program. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of problems here in this order. And, Melanie no longer exists. It's all uncivil all the time. Uncivil is great for all your needs. Melonie's back.
Hey, don't you try and wrangle my audience. I did something and I swiped myself out. I got to talk to StreamYard about being able to lock the screen so that you can't swipe yourself out when you get excited and you touch your mouse pad and then you go out of the stream. So yeah. I'm not crazy, right? I'm not crazy. This is for the love of all that is holy and the traveling Mary, the craziest thing I've seen in a very, very long time. I've been doing this longer than you. I've been doing this for 30 years. So I have a little bit of
I think you had the same thought, but the thing is the conclusions don't flow from his own premises. Because he sets out all the law and he sets out basically the facts, these are allegations, there's nothing really here, all the rest of it. And then somehow gets to the conclusion, I'm going to order the interview. But I'm it doesn't flow from your own premises, let alone mine. It's you basically agree with me on the premises and reaching a conclusion not supported by the premises. I don't know how you got here. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, let's since we're here, let's just take a look at what you're talking about, because I have to agree with you here. So, well, first of all, it sounds like a little bit of a threat here that he's threatening, the social media world. And I don't remember where that sentence is, but
I Judge Carroll can threaten me all he likes.
I just thought that was very odd.
Valid First Amendment context. So I don't really care what he has to say about anything.
Yeah. I mean, usually he's kind of well-reasoned. I just feel like he's trying to be he's walking the line too much here. And Sharp Angels, really? Okay, I think it's a good thing that he zets.
At least he has some boundaries. That's nice.
Yeah. The second and third supplements. That's a good thing. But, of course, takes the untimely way out instead of this is so horrific and how dare you? How dare you even say this? We're just going to go with untimely on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's weak sauce. And I actually had to change my opinion today on Johns Hopkins. I had to change my opinion today.
What from what to what?
Well, because from their point of view, they're lawyers. I mean, more to the point, they're lawyers. They're in service to their client. Their obligation is to serve their client. That's their goal. They don't care about Maya. They're not supposed to care about Maya. They're supposed to care about Johns Hopkins. So, since they never get reprimanded and never get punished for anything, why wouldn't they? Right? Why wouldn't they just ask for the most ridiculous things? Because there's no penalty for them at the end of the day. So it's I was really critical of Johns Hopkins motions in the first instance because I'm this is ridiculous. But now I'm like, because I've learned more about this, like this is the third judge has heard this. There were 35 motions and 15 hearings for the iCloud data. The IJ has never been produced. The boxes have never been produced, and so forth and so on. And so I've had to change my opinion and be like, wait a second. Now Hunter and Shapiro are good lawyers because they're serving their client, because no one's going to stop them.
It's exactly like children having no ramifications for their behavior ever. So why should they ever change their behavior?
So like, if you don't have that internal, barrier because, of ethics, and this is just morally wrong. If you're just willing to go as far as they will let you go, if you're just willing to do until they stop you, then Johns Hopkins lawyers are fantastic lawyers. So I'm like, okay, well, apparently they can do no wrong, I guess.
Well, it's zealous representation, but is it ethical?
Yeah, but that's the problem. See, no one ever stops them, so it's not. I mean, you can't go to the bar and complain this, because I was like, juror 1 should file a complaint with the bar. But he can't do that now. What's he going to do? Oh, it violates the rules of ethics, but the judge granted it. It shoots any disciplinary action right in the head.
Except for he took the untimely way out of that without addressing the issue of whether that Schutzstaffel supplement was completely unethical and outside the bounds of decency.
Yeah, well, he didn't say it, so I don't think the bar is going to
unsaid.
say it. I don't think the bar is going to go out of its way,
Mm.
to say it when the judge is like, well, the only reason I'm doing this because of timeliness.
Yeah, but
so
I think it's a different issue.
My respect for this Florida system has gone down a size or two. Apparently, it's a bunch of weak judges.
Well, why are they going to do this in open court? I mean, yeah, I agree with you on that. I disagree with you that I think the ethical issue is a separate issue. And I think that the grievance committee 100% would take that out. At least they would in New York. They 100% would. And perhaps that's why he did address it that way. Because the grievance committee here, anyway, is its own entity. They do whatever they want. It doesn't even matter if there was any court proceeding arising from the complaint.
Well, I mean, that's theoretically true. That's true in every state, the best of my knowledge. But I think the reality of the situation is like they can stand behind the judge had no problem with it. So how about can it be? But
the judge didn't really address it. So maybe there's a way out.
Well, I appreciate your optimism, but after watching the annex of all this thing, I've been rendered hollow inside and bitter and skeptical.
Let's talk a little bit more about.
I've been black-pilled. I've been black-pilled by this case.
About doing this interview in open court.
Yeah, that seems like a strange move. I mean, I thought it was going to be in chambers, but now we're going to do it in open court. I'm like, okay, that seems like an odd move.
Did it say whether it was going to be televised? Somebody in the chat said it said that, but I don't see where it says that in the order.
I don't know. Who knows? But they'll have their people outside. Well, there are people outside the courtroom to get their candid shots as he's coming in and going out of the courtroom. So
right, and to be harassed by perhaps Reddit minions and other people who may want to go and protest outside the courthouse. Let's just say, hypothetically, if people did do that, it feels like Carroll cares more about not getting overturned than the blatantly unethical behavior of the defense. Yeah. It's like he doesn't even want to address it. I'm really confused about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any sanctions. He said, yeah, you can. I mean, if you listen to the hearing, which I know you did, he's like, well, I said you could present hearings, but you're sure you want to do it? Are you sure you want to? Because I said I would, but are you sure? I mean, none of them done any sanctions now. They're not going to do any sanctions before. They weren't not going to do any now, and even if they did do them, they'd be token nothing. So it's pointless.
My concerns are about safety for juror number 1. Recovery Act accepted there's a separate document setting the hearing. Regular media guidelines apply. The fact that juror number 1 has to actually show up in this courthouse with all of the social media fury surrounding these motions and this case is a poor decision. To put it mildly, I'm not
admitted to Florida, so I need to get some sort of pro hoc vice. But if he wants me, I'll try to get it, and I'll represent him for free because I think this is some BS.
Well, I think this also has far-ranging implications for our entire system, not just this case,
And then I'll try to
not just
figure out how
Florida.
I can say on my records the judge is an idiot without getting myself thrown in contempt.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do it. I have a feeling that you could do it. You just need someone to
I
sponsor
think my
you.
writings might be a little bit spicier than some of the stuff we've seen thus far.
Yeah. But you'd have to go in there in person. So are you gonna do the road trip to Sarasota? I mean, is
Sure,
your
why
number
not?
one in the chat
Yeah, I'll go down
tonight?
there. Yeah, why not? I'll go down there. It's fine. I'll
You
see
have
if they'll
any
let me wear my hat. They would in Texas. They'll let me wear it
Mm.
inside.
Yeah, you'll be like my cousin Vinny in Florida.
Yeah,
But the Texas lawyer coming into the Florida courthouse. It's
yeah.
like a whole my
Can I wear
cousin
my
Vinny
hat,
skit.
Judge? It's a Texas thing.
It's right. Yeah, Debbie would be real pissed off if I was juror number one. This is so wrong. Is juror number one in the chat? I just want to I'm not advising anybody to do anything, but if juror
I'm
number one were
advising them to
my
get a
husband,
lawyer.
yes, I would tell my husband if my husband was juror number one, I would be sure that he did retain counsel, show up with counsel. I don't know how they're going to get around the spousal privilege on this. Do you?
Good question. No, I'd file a motion to quash.
Yes, motion to
On the basis of
quash.
spousal privilege, assuming that juror one wanted me to, because obviously I'd have to consult with the client. But my inclination would be file a motion to quash. I'd point out that under the relevant rules, that compliance with the rule is assumed by law, because it is. I'd point out that the judge asked basically at the start of every day, at the end of every session, at the beginning of every session, and at the end of that day, about the whole rules. He asked them every single time, every single time they came in or left the courtroom, to put it another way. He asked them, just by the way, and did you do that? And by the way, and did you do that? So I'd like, okay, look, Your Honor, with all possible respect, you've already asked him this question. I don't even know how many times at this point. You've already confirmed this. The law assumes that he complied with the rules. You have no objective evidence. They haven't pointed to any objective evidence. You yourself in your order didn't point to any objective evidence. This thing is without merit. 1. 2, motion to quash because of privilege. And then 3, to the extent that my client wanted to answer it, I answer the questions in writing. Because here's the 4 questions you said you were going to answer. Here are the answers. Right. Just signed declaration. Here are the answers. So it's moot. You've gotten the answers you want. Go away. Now, he's not going to grant my motion, but it'll make me feel a shit ton better.
And it'll be part of the public record, so everyone will see it.
Yeah.
That juror number one has somebody standing up for him, because really standing up for juror number one is standing up for every person who will ever be on a jury ever.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to squash this, like right now, because nobody's going to want to serve on a jury.
And if they give me pro hoc, then I'll file that bar complaint and see where we can get, since I'll have standing.
Well, do you have any friends that are admitted in Florida that will sponsor you? I don't know.
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I have a couple friends in Florida, so hopefully they can help me out in a hurry.
Well, there's a scratch and sniff.
I need to have a conversation with them, get hired, and I need to file this on Friday so that I can file the quash on Tuesday when they reopen from Christmas.
Well, what you can do is just use the motion that was filed today, this unopposed verified motion for admission pro hoc vice for this.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to steal the shit out of theirs.
It's like a scratch.
I'm absolutely going to steal their shit. Of course, I'm going to steal their shit.
It's a scratch and sniff. Change the name, change the thing, get your own sponsors. File
every lawyer does it.
Electronically.
Plagiarism isn't so much a sin in our profession as a professional pastime. Yeah, we plagiarize the absolute shit out of each other. It's how we roll.
Well, everything's a form. It's all a form.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's just a form, really. Change the name, change the dates. You could have this filed by midnight. It's all e-filed anyway.
Yeah. No problem.
You want me to work on it with you? I mean, I got this right up on the screen.
Not right now.
All right. It looks like you only
tired.
need.
I've been streaming all day. Maybe tomorrow.
I know you have. You have been streaming all day. You want me to let you go? I think Recovery Addict is here too. I don't have his email, so I don't know if
we can hang out for a little while.
If you want to call him.
I don't mind hanging out with your beautiful eyes.
Oh, thank you. Kevin Collins says, thank you for your super chat. I'm not surprised the whole concept of normal has been skewed legally, politically, educationally, ethically, and civilly. This is and has been the new norm for some time. I've seen this in 30 years in a school district. Thank you, Kevin, for your generous super chat. And I do agree with you. Kurt, where do you stand on that comment? There's no normal anymore.
I don't have that level of experience, but you know, as I'm sure you're well aware, juror interviews are like basically a very small rounding error from zero. Like people were asking me how often this happens. I'm like, never, because that's basically essentially correct. The idea of piercing the jury or asking questions is so distasteful in the absence of objective evidence, which we've had in the past. And you know, this is crazy. And I'd also, in my motion to quash, point out the danger of the entire thing, because you know, because Maya's team threw a sentence about it. But I definitely point out more about the dangers of allowing this as it impacts the jury system, because why would any juror ever do this?
Yeah.
So my motion to quash will probably have to be a couple pages, because I'm going to have to talk probably at some length about the danger of this, because it's like you are essentially discouraging every person from ever going to jury duty. Every juror who's aware of this will be like, well, I can't be neutral. I can't be fair because you, the court, have made it impossible.
They're already using that excuse. They're already using it.
Yeah,
I saw the Mike Kowalski trial. I'm not putting myself and my family in harm's way by serving on a jury.
So I'm like, this only does not need to be entertained by Your Honor, but Your Honor needs to reverse themselves and send this over to sanctions in order to and pray for public reprimand by the bar, so to try to bring confidence back to this thing.
Yeah,
it's like I'll feel a lot better writing that on the record. It's going to be a 10-page motion to quash by the time I'm done, but you know, that's fine.
It's double spaced and all, you know. It's really not that much when you think about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody said Runkle and Recovery Addict want to come in, but I don't have their emails. I don't know if you do. If you want to send them the link, I'm gonna have a foursome panel here. I don't know what to do with this. I think it's outrageous.
I just need a Florida lawyer. Any Florida lawyer will be fine. So if anyone knows a Florida lawyer who will sponsor me in a pinch, let me know.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a YouTube lawyer. It can be any lawyer. But you said you have friends and you have friends.
Yeah, I'll ask Steve Gosney, see if he'll do it.
Teresa, thank you for your super chat. Melanie, didn't you read on Reddit where Shapiro was responding to the posters, reading their findings? I don't know what that says. Reading their findings. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I did. He was responding to the posters. Yes, you are correct. And I think the plaintiff put some of that into their motion papers. So, you know, he and his wife both. Am I keeping you awake, Scott? I mean, Kurt, am I keeping you awake? You're yawning on me.
It's been a long day.
A great combo, Kurt and Mel. This is crazy, scary sitch. Yeah, it is. Callie Girl, I expected this, but it's still super gross. Thank you, Callie Girl, for your super chat. Matt Bond, thank you for your super chat. Juror number 1 not only swore an oath for jury duty, he swore an oath to protect and serve as a law enforcement officer. This is a disgrace. Write a book and go Jackie Chan on them. Every single time.
Well, no, but the writing of the book thing, that's what got Becky Hill in such trouble.
Yeah, but she wasn't a juror. She was the clerk using her.
Have you read The Wonderful Words of Becky Hill?
I have not read her book. No, I would not.
Oh, it's truly a delight. Nobel Prize for Literature territory, 10 out of 10.
You actually read it?
Oh, yeah. I bought it on Kindle and everything.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Did you do a review stream about it?
Or the stream. I'm hardcore, man.
I'm sure it was not very well written. Thank you, Cat Lady, for gifting 5 memberships. We love that. Thank you so much. That's amazing. What about this additional concepts business? Thanks, Ruby, for your super chat. What does that mean? I'm going to let the attorneys add additional concepts.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means, but I think Johns Hopkins might have some ideas, which is one of the many reasons that he needs a lawyer, and the juror 1 needs a lawyer.
Yeah. Are they here? Turner and spouse, we are with you. We are with you. We think this is outrageous. Monique, thank you for being a member for 2 months. How often do you see typos in court documents like this? Every single day. Every single day. And I point them out every single time because I am a spelling I'm a stickler for spelling, grammar, and punctuation. So I see them a lot, and I think that it's well, this is a judge's order, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But when lawyers do
Yeah,
it, I think it's sloppy
someone
lawyering.
suggested lawyer you know. Lawyer you know is a great lawyer, but I don't think he can handle this. He has a conflict.
Yeah, I think so
So
too.
yeah, Peter's a great lawyer. Peter Tragos is a great lawyer, but he has a conflict, so he can't do this.
Oh, somebody's saying he may sponsor you.
He might sponsor me. That's possible.
Do you know him? I don't know him, so I can't.
I don't know him particularly well, but maybe if I ask real nicely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my grammar Yahtzee, says Kelly. Yep, that's true. They should listen only. Are they going to provide juror number one with some sort of police protection while he's entering the courthouse? Perhaps a police escort from his home, which has been publicly posted by the defendant in the court file, which is out there, and perhaps an escort. I got a real problem with safety on this. Aside from the obvious issues, it should have been done in chambers at a time and date that no one knew about.
Yeah, I mean, that's how that would typically be done. The fact that we're doing it in open court, like, there's no particular reason for it to be done in open court, because, I mean, the record is kept in chambers just like it's kept in open court, and you don't unduly embarrass. It's all the judge's decision. There's no jury. So, like, the fact it's being done in open court also blows my mind.
Yeah, and how about doing on an undisclosed date?
Also,
if
I appear pro hoc vice, that means I can express my feelings to Jay Hatch's lawyers more personally.
And you have strong feelings. We know that, but you'll be classy about it because we know that too. We know that you can when you have to, you can rein it in a little bit and not.
When did you realize you were devil spawn?
That's perfectly acceptable. That's a perfectly acceptable argument because I think a lot of people think that. Kurt. Hi, Kevin. Thanks again for your super chat. Kurt is right. How many years motions hearings has this gone on? Florida court system and Jay Hatch know this is their normal ethics. Yeah.
Apparently.
But they keep doing it.
They definitely didn't reach this level of what is the PC way of phrasing this?
They
didn't reach this level of I don't know. They didn't reach this level without practice.
It's egregious, contumacious. One of my favorite words, contumacious. It is contumacious and egregious. It's beyond the pale. But devil spawn works too, because we're all about confiscating the Eucharist that could be dosed with liquid K and not letting the traveling Mary in. So, we might as well stay on the religious theme.
Maybe I could bring holy water and splash it on them. See if that helps.
Yes, Dracula is present. They thought they put that Dracula to bed. I mean, the fact that that's still hanging out there too, like a hanging Chad, is a little bit disturbing. That was a Florida thing too, wasn't it? That hanging Chad.
I got the reference. Nice callback.
That's good, right?
Yeah, hanging out there like a Chad. That was a good callback. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a quick wit. Sometimes people say I've been.
I like the witty girls.
Far worse. I've been called far worse. I watched your stream today on the Colorado taking Trump off the ballot. In fact, I emailed you last night and I said, "Are you going to do this? Please do this." And then when
I had to mark it up because it was so
true.
lengthy, I don't want to think about it. It took me 4 hours even marking it up, so I'm glad I took the time.
You do not respond to my emails, but then when people tell me in the chat that you want me to invite you on, I invite you on, but you don't invite me on. It's like a whole thing. We're not going to get into it now in public, but I did email you last night and I said, would you please cover this Trump in Colorado thing? Because I really want to know your thoughts, because you're the law guy. You're the guy that I defer to on the actual law and the Constitution. And so I'm sorry that I gave you 200 pages of homework. I didn't realize it was 200 pages, but I do take it. I'm flattered that you decided to actually, cover it. I'm sure it wasn't just my idea, but and you did a great job covering that for many hours today, because I went out and came back and you were still on TV. So I was like, oh my God, he's still going. It's like 3 hours later.
I apologize for not emailing you back. I promise in the future to be better about my communications, because communication is always important.
Communication is key. I also had another thought. I don't know if I'll say this in open court. Maybe not with 1,600 people watching, but I thought we could do like maybe a little dating game for you, maybe one night on the
Excellent.
stream, because I saw and I heard you say, because I'm not like saying anything untoward now, because you did say this on one of your lives the other night that I watched, that, you're looking for a wife, and that, somebody said, well, why don't you get a dog? And you said, well, because yeah, that's the same thing as a wife. And like, you were feeling like, maybe it's time for you to settle down and meet a lady. So I thought maybe we could do like a little dating game. I'll be the host. We could, see if any contestants want to come on, and we could do like a date, like a sort of like a little bachelor thing, or like the
Okay.
dating game where you have like a blindfold on, you ask questions of the three people. I don't know. I was just thinking about that today. All right. Yeah. We're going to get back to the case now. We're going to get back to the case. We are not done. So that's what I was thinking. If anybody thinks that would be a nice idea to do something for Kurt as a little Christmas present, a cat lady said she will date you. I would expect
Send me an
Krista
email.
says that Juror 1 already has a lawyer. I hope so, because I think that once he is served with this subpoena, the motion to quash will become available, and the appropriate remedy in this case. I do agree with you, Kurt, there procedurally. And who would decide the motion to quash, though?
The judge would, of course. The very judge who issued the order in the first place.
Well, why would he overrule himself and quash his own order? That makes no sense.
Good
Would you have to
question.
take it to like the appellate court?
No, I can't take it to the appellate court on an interlocutory.
I don't know.
I'm going to lose. I already said I'm going to lose, but I feel better filing it.
Yeah.
I got to try. It's my job.
Kurt wants 18 to 35 that wants kids, so they say.
That would be ideal.
Hi, CG in Texas. Thank you for your super chat. Merch idea: a card with a statement for future potential jurors to read in front of jury pool to back off jury duty because afraid of attacks like juror number 1 got. You're not Dave Matthews Band fan, says Tommy Bernhard. Can't be trusted.
Excuse me, please, one more drink.
That's a good one.
Did you make it strong? Because I'll need to think she broke my heart. Grace is gone. One more drink and I'll move on.
How'd you know that was one of my favorite Dave songs?
I'm just that good.
Psychic. You're psychic like Jules. Jules is psychic as well, because Jules knew exactly what the jury was thinking, according to some defense papers that we saw. Christina B., we need law tube more than ever. Well, I was interested in what the court had to say about that they were going to address at a different time. Let me just see if I can find it. You can sing a little if you like. The court will later address a concern about either side deputizing an online community to take actions that the party cannot do itself. Translation, please.
For those asking in chat, I'm 42, which is the answer to the life, universe, and everything. So.
Is that a numerology thing?
No.
Hold on.
It's a Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy thing.
Oh, I remember that book. It's like the Anarchist Cookbook. Did you ever read that one? The court will later address a concern about either side deputizing an online community to take actions that that party cannot do itself. When later is he going to address that? What does that mean? He didn't address it in this motion, as far as I can tell. So is that going to be in some other decision that he's going to render down the road? Kind of similar to,
I guess. This judge is so weak, I wouldn't put anything past him at this point.
Attorneys, don't use ChatGPT to write your briefs. And also, don't go to Reddit for your legal theories. Or, don't be pulling pictures out of the Take Care of Maya Facebook group. I don't know what he means by this. He knows. I guess he knows. It came from Reddit. I mean, I have a lot of concerns about this, and none of them are good. But I did say that he was going to allow an interview. That was my original opinion. I just did not think it was going to be in open court. I thought it would be done in chambers at a time that nobody would know about. And if they wanted to record it, they could release it later. Not in real time. We don't need Law and Crime and Court TV there with their cameras. I don't think this needs to be open to the public, and I'm personally offended by it.
Yeah.
What say you?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything's possible at this stage because my respect for this court at this point is so low that, and they say, well, they'll be allowed to suggest other topics. I'm interpreting that at the moment as broadly as possible because I have no confidence the judge is going to limit it off. And so, like, you know, yeah.
It's such a mishigas, like we say here.
Yeah. Did they check with the juror one if he's available? They did not check. Why would we need to ask him?
Because maybe he might go on vacation or go skiing or something over the holidays, and
yeah, it's possible.
we know that he's retired.
He might have plans. He might have plans. It's possible.
A lot of people go on vacation during that time.
Of course, I'd never encourage anyone to evade service, but you know, if he didn't happen to be there because of other reasons completely independent of this, then it'd be hard for him to get service.
LH, I think since Kurt changed positions later in the trial, it's actually supportive to the fact that their case was bad enough to convince people that they are wrong.
I just try to assess based on what I know at any given moment. I had lots of doubts in the medical negligence claim earlier on.
Yeah, I said from the beginning that the tenuous part of the case was connecting the self-unaliving to
I still have doubts on that
by the hospital, but that is a tough claim to prove. It's a case of first impression. People can't afford to hire an attorney, and now he does have to hire an attorney. I would say it's in his best interest to hire an attorney. And right now we're putting the burden on jurors to go hire attorneys, like in the Murdoch case where one of those Poot or that other one came out and said, if I were, all the jurors should probably get attorneys now. Like between this and Murdoch, who wants the $17 a day? How about this, Florida? You can keep your $17 a day and the free lunch. Yeah. And I'll just stay home and watch YouTube. How about that?
Someone in chat asked if I have a temper. I don't think, generally speaking, I do have a temper. The only time where I've expressed a temper is with people who are deliberately trying to prod me, because over the years of my YouTube experience, I've had trolls who are trying to get under my skin and deliberately trying to provoke me. And occasionally they've succeeded. And then I lost my cool with Megan Fox because I have zero respect for her. Not because she's a woman, but because she's an idiot. And so I thought she was saying some really stupid things. And I was like, I can't deal with the stupid.
Well,
but no, I don't think generally speaking I have a temper.
Because I don't know anything about that.
I've never hit anybody. I'm good. I'm nice.
And that was more towards the dating game thing. It wasn't towards something that, a beef you may have with another YouTuber. It was more like, I think, like in your personal life, if somebody wanted to date you, do you have a temper? I'm new to this whole YouTube thing. So I don't know about these longstanding beefs among YouTubers and law tubers. And, I don't want to get in the middle of that. But I think that's where she was going with that question. Why does juror number one, American Nana says, why does juror number one have to do what the judge orders when defense attorneys don't follow them?
Good question.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Thank you, I'm Sent, for becoming a new YouTube member. Emotional support paintbrush. Thank you for your super chat. Think judges know as how bad this will make Jay Hatch look. And he's like, sure, let's do it. Also helps them at appeal to have even less to argue. Well, I did think that he was going to grant an interview. I just didn't think it would be in open court for everyone to see, and for juror number one to be now further doxxed in person, which I think is a horrendous idea, not to mention wildly unsafe for many other reasons, because we have seen what goes on in the Reddit threads. We've all been there, and we see what goes on in the toxic chats like Law and Crime and Court TV. And it frightens me. I'm not afraid to say it. I think it's a very bad idea. Kurt has been silenced by my passion.
I mean, you're just spitting truth. There's nothing particular for me needed to say, because everything you're saying is correct. So all I could really do is just echo exactly what you said, but that's kind of rude.
Oh, okay.
especially for a man to just say exactly what a woman just said. Like I'm the first one saying it, so I have nothing to say because you already said it.
Oh, you're not even disagreeing. Debbie Olander, this is outrageous. We need to fight for juror 1. We want a lawyer and security for him. How dare the court do this? How do we get your information to juror 1? Well, if anybody knows how to reach juror number 1, because he's sometimes in the chat and he's in a lot of other streams, your email, I think, is on your homepage, right? My email is too.
Yeah.
If they reach me, I can send it to you.
They know where to find me.
And you've
Juror
already
1 and his
agreed
wife
to
know where
do
to
this
find me.
pro bono, right?
Yeah.
So you would do it for free. It's not even like you're asking for $900 an hour or anything.
I think the cause is just.
It is. And it's for all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Tracy, he needs to wear his Kevlar. Juror number 1. That's right. He's former law enforcement. Maybe he has some friends that can be bodyguards and while he's coming into court.
Fair.
Christina, I can't believe the judge is throwing the juror under the bus stop while he drives the bus. There's a t-shirt idea, Christina. I see what you did there. I like this. Michael, being a juror should not cost you thousands in legal fees. Yep. I happen to agree. Jules said something up here that I'm going to find because everyone is saying, really, really, really? They give Sally Smith and Cassie Beatty a police escort. Oh, and you were there to see it too, huh? Okay. Well, let's just hope that the witnesses aren't more important than the actual jurors. Let's hope that. So,
I think jurors 1's odds of this being less invasive go up at least somewhat by having a lawyer present.
Yeah.
So I think that might help.
I don't know Runkle's email. I don't know. What is his conflict? I think they were talking about Peter's conflict. Peter practices law in Florida. Greg Anderson's firm is primarily a defense firm. Peter is a plaintiff's firm. My guess would be that he may have cases against Greg Anderson's firm, if not the Hunta firm. So that could be
my
a
understanding
conflict
is he's relatively close with Shapiro and Hunter.
Okay, that too. He also probably has cases,
which I don't hold
judge.
against him because, that's just how it goes sometimes. So I don't hold it against him. It just means he might have a conflict.
Yeah, and he also likely has cases in front of that judge. He can't go on YouTube and talk about that case and criticize the judge. I wouldn't. If I had cases pending in front of that judge, I certainly would not. Mercina lady, I just deferred juror request for a year. I don't want to be a juror, only to be possibly attacked. Yeah, it is very scary. It's a very scary precedent, and it's something that needs to be squashed.
More crap for the defense, someone said in chat, but he's friends with the defense lawyers. So they already know that.
Right.
I'm not telling him anything they already know.
Right.
He's friends with Hunter and Shapiro. They're the defense lawyers. They know that already.
Right. And did you know Greg Anderson's firm is mostly a defense firm? They have very few plaintiffs' cases. And this apparently the Kowalski shopped and nobody would take this case. And Greg Anderson took it. But he's primarily a defense firm. He represented Chris Craft Boats. That's how he knows that guy, who the owner of Chris Craft. Do you think the past relationship between defense and the judge is affecting the trial?
That's possible. And people have also suggested it's because he wants to go into the appellate bench. And somehow he thinks that his decisions here will help him achieve that goal. Although I'm more than somewhat skeptical that that's necessary to achieve that goal. I mean, reversals are pretty hard to come by anyway. And you get a fair amount of discretion as a judge. So I'm not sure if it's professionally motivated. I'm not sure if it's because he's friends with some of these people. But again, I have to lean towards the idea that's more systematic than that, because again, this seems to be emblematic of all the judges who have touched this, right? There have been 3 judges on this case, and no one is apparently issuing these orders. No one's dealing with Johns Hopkins' apparent blatant refusal. So apparently it's some combination of the culture of the place and or people don't want to make Johns Hopkins mad because they're concerned about their next election, or I don't know what's going on, but it seems to be more systematic. But see, that's one of the great things for me coming outside of Florida, because I don't care.
Right. It is. Again, like my cousin Vinny. It's exactly like my cousin Vinny because he didn't care either. And he was from New York and he went into, where was that? Do you remember where that was? Was he going into Florida there too? I'm seeing maybe a little mini series in our future. Do y'all think, thanks Kamala Norris for your super chat. Do y'all think Jay Hatch knows what their defense team is doing? Does Jay Hatch still just don't get it? We had different opinions on this. I think they went rogue on this. I can't believe that a hospital who treats children and is supposed to have a reputation as being compassionate and kind and thoughtful would agree to having this Yahtzee motion supplement filed on with their name on it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a combination of some things that are going on there, and there's obviously more than meets the eye, but I think it's a lack of cojones
On behalf of
the court.
Yeah, but do you think Jay Hatch knows that they're do you think the client signed off on this, or do you think the defense firm went rogue and just is like, we're just going to file whatever we want because we know we're going to get fired after this anyway?
My view of it is, I won't assume that Jay Hatch is aware of any particular thing, but they have to be aware of the things in general, right? Because this case has been going on for 5 years, and this trial was 9 weeks long. So do I think, for example, Jay Hatch necessarily knows about the secret S motion or some of this finer details? I'm not necessarily willing to draw that conclusion because that's too specific. But I can make the more general conclusion because I think it's more fair. It's like there's just no way that they're not talking to the client for 5 years, especially as trial lawyer. That doesn't make any sense, right? So you can only assume that we are where we are because no one has stopped the lawyers, including Jay Hatch. Because if Jay Hatch had said, we really would prefer you not do that, it's pretty unlikely the attorneys would do it anyway, even if they could. Because like the attorney might be able to do it without the client's consent because it speaks to trial strategy, for example, and tactics, which is typically for the attorney alone to ultimately make that decision. But an attorney is definitely not going to push it this far and go to these levels and this degree when the client is behind the scenes saying, hey, could you, maybe not make us look so bad? That would be great. So I can only assume that Jay Hatch, the client, at no time has spoken to their attorneys and been like, could you tone it down? So apparently Jay Hatch also has no problem with this, which I suppose on some level, why would they? Because they keep winning. So, but yeah.
Well,
no one is
they didn't
stopping
win when
the
it
lawyers.
came
Jay
to
Hatch
verdict time.
The client isn't stopping them. The court isn't stopping them. The bar isn't stopping one. No one is stopping them.
But there's also several layers of, if there's an insurance company involved here, which I assume they are. I mean, even if they have some sort of self-insured retention, there's got to be a carrier involved. There's a claims adjuster involved.
Sure.
They have several layers of people that need to that are kind of strategizing. And like they can't totally go rogue, but this just seems to me to be such a gross tactic that
I am unwilling to accept the assumption that this is somehow required to make the insurance carrier happy. By the way, I'm sorry if I keep speaking over you. That where one person starts and one person stops, things can be a little bit tricky. So we haven't figured out our flow yet. So I apologize. I'm not trying to deliberately speak over you.
I know. I noticed that too when I watched the playback. That I do that sometimes too. So. Darcy, thank you for your super chat. This is for you, Kurt. How was the juror interviewed in the Maxwell federal case? This is all you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was a different situation dealing with different factors in that particular case. And so, I mean, every case has to be assessed under its own terms. And there were more specific things dealing with that. So like, for example, in the Murdoch case, I fully expect, and there is going to be a hearing. I believe it's an ex-Chief Justice of South Carolina is going to be the judge of that case, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, it sometimes happens, but it's unspeakably rare. As an attorney, you could go your entire career without seeing this ever.
I've never seen it. I've never seen
Yeah,
it until
see,
the Murdoch case. So, I mean, when the Murdoch thing came up, I said, you know, this is so rare that this is the first time I've seen this in 30 years of practice. And that was involving the court clerk and how she overstepped, perhaps. But this involving a juror, I've never seen this before. And I don't know much about that Maxwell federal case, so I defer to you on that because you know all the laws.
someone asked, they thought they meant literally how. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know literally how they did it in terms of the mechanism of it.
Or the questioning. Darlene, so it seems like Florida court judges are acting like J Hatch did with Maya. No one goes against the machine.
Maybe. Is J Hatch really that intimidating?
I mean, I don't know. I think their reputation's kind of been trashed after this case, but they seem to have a lot of.
I mean, as the judge, I'd be like, it's cute that you're J Hatch and all, but do you know who I am? The sovereign. Lol. Because I represent the state of Florida being the judge. So, you know, your J Hatch power is interesting and all, but I'm the sovereign. So I'm feeling pretty good about myself right about now. Yeah.
Didn't Anderson state they couldn't be in court on the 3rd? Very suspicious to me, says Princess Jasmina's mommy, Pamela. They did have a hearing and they did ask about availability on the 3rd. And I do not recall what Anderson said, to be honest with you.
I don't remember specifically from the hearing.
I don't meant either. Dehydrated slime. I think they meant literally how in chambers, etc. Yeah, I don't know,
I don't
but
know that.
Every case is different and the facts are different and every judge is different too. So you don't know you never know what a judge is going to do. And that's what I would say to my clients when they were thinking about turning down a large settlement offer or, you know, wanting to go to trial instead of taking it. I'd say, you know, how big of a gambler are you? You never know what a judge is going to do, especially in a divorce case. Do you want a guy who makes far less money than you do potentially deciding your family's financial future, or do the two of you guys want to try and work it out? Because anytime you let it go to a jury or a judge, you are spinning the wheel. It's like taking $500,000, throwing it down on number 12 on the roulette wheel and spinning it, letting it ride. Because that's what it is.
There's about a 5% chance of any random thing happening. It's not totally unfair.
My cousin Vinny took place in Alabama. All right. Thank you for that, Mary Latour. I don't know. Thanks for covering Trump off the ballot, Kurt, says Mercina Lady.
It was a good stream. Thanks for those of you who stuck with me. We had some fun.
Emotional support paintbrush. J Hatch thinks 250 million is a lot. They'll be shocked at lost revenue from reputation damage of their own doing. I don't respect them at all anymore. I did not take a deep dive into that pro hoc vice motion. Did you? I just looked like it was one attorney.
They're lawyers from. Presumably they're lawyers from Johns Hopkins main office, which is in Baltimore. I don't know necessarily why they need to be here, but that's presumably who it is.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Maybe they're taking over. Maybe they're like, you know what? Not happy with the reputation stain that is happening here, and we need to step in and take over. I don't know. Could it indicate that the other firm is going to be taken off the case and that she needs to step in? I don't know.
There was one little nice detail about the order that came down. I did take a note that it was nice to see Maya's name written by itself in the caption.
That's right. They changed the caption when she turned 18.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's right. Oh, that is nice. Well, what else does J Hatch board of directors have to do other than count the money under their mattresses? I'm sure they know. Jan, I'm not surprised limited questions will be asked. I will reserve judgment on Judge Carroll's decision based on the allowed questions the defense will have. Jules, if you're still here, do you plan on going to court on January 3rd?
I bet you she does.
We're going to have to stalk the court docket now to see when this motion to quash comes in. Do you have your assistant working on it now? You have a law clerk working on it right now? Or an intern? Would anybody like to volunteer to be my assistant? Because I need an assistant. I need a research person. Anybody need college credit? You want to be an intern for me? We can do it virtually. It doesn't even need to be like, you know, we need help. This is hard doing it all by yourself, isn't it? Do you have an assistant?
Can be. No, I do everything myself.
Yeah, me too. I know. And it's, it's a full-time gig. It's a volunteer position.
Yeah.
And we're here because we like it. I don't think anybody realizes how much prep goes into doing a stream like this. You can't just come in here cold. Like, you can't just pretend to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because your
The
viewers
editing
will...
is the worst. When I have to do editing, it just takes so long.
Do you post videos that are not live? Do you post pre-recorded stuff? Because
Sure, I've posted lots of videos that aren't live. Oh yeah.
That takes way
I
too
do all
long.
the editing myself. I do all the document research myself. Do all the markups myself, all the commentary. Supreme Court analysis, Supreme Court oral arguments, whatever. I do it all, baby. I love it though, so that helps.
And it's good. It keeps you busy. It's good to stay busy. Ray, as many people that are getting emails from the public about this case, I'd have to imagine executives at the hospital are too. Interesting. Nellie, the client absolutely signed off on this. Why else would they be trying to send more lawyers from Baltimore?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Nancy Schrock, he allowed Shapiro to get away with calling the Kowalskis an S-bag family. I find that atrocious.
It wasn't said in the courtroom, though, so he's entitled to his freedom of speech just like anyone else, as distasteful as it is.
It's not on the record.
Yeah.
They should have at least tried for a
Probably
settlement.
shouldn't say in the courthouse either, ideally, but, I'll cut him a break.
Yeah, where other people could hear it, double hearsay. Crystal, they should have at least tried for a settlement. I'm sure that they did try for a settlement. I'm sure money was offered. I'm sure that plaintiffs did not think it was enough, but I have been saying since this verdict has been rendered that I do think the case should settle. The case should settle. It should go away. I can't, they should be spending more time furiously trying to settle this case than making these frivolous motions and trying to disparage a man who just did his civic duty. It's unfortunate that they didn't like the result, but this is going to be open season on all jurors if this is allowed to continue without being squashed like the bug that it is. That is my opinion.
That's sort of my concern, and where I definitely spend some time on the motion to quash, because it's like, dude, have you not thought this all the way through? What's next? Like, let me spell this out for you a little bit,
The ramifications and implications are very widespread and far-ranging, potentially.
It's like taking a girl out on the boat. It's the implication.
You're going to throw her overboard.
I guess.
What would your implication be?
It's an Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference.
Oh, I've watched that show, but not every single episode. Okay. Talk to me about Seinfeld, because that I've watched every episode at least 10 times.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, Seinfeld was great. I always liked the red dot where he has the one on the sweater. It's relatively early on, and he's being confronted about having relations with the cleaning woman.
It's Kashmir, Georgie. It's Kashmir. But Georgie, it's Kashmir. He gives her a Christmas present.
I also like the one where he's, I don't know if it's the same episode, but I like the one where George is working in that business and he has a year-long contract and they don't want to keep him going.
Vandalay
and so they like try to prevent him from doing, he keeps breaking into the office and like, your win will give you 6 months. It's like, as long as I keep showing up every day, you have to keep paying me. And like at one point they actually board the office in and he like climbs in through the heating ducts to get in and be like, if they need me, I'm in my office. Yeah.
Vandalay
George is an interesting character.
Yeah. George is great. Heart of Inspiration, thanks for your super chat. The Maxwell juror was interviewed in open court. Just confirmed my recollection. You two make a great panel. Thank you. Thank you very much. We're here for it.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I.
Just the two of us.
Two of us.
Magical Mary says, thank you, Magical Mary, for your super chat. Peter said he is not friends with the defense. He's worked in court against them and has cases in front of this judge.
Okay.
I'm sure he knows all the players. I'm sure that he knows all the players.
Fair enough. Maybe I misunderstood the facts, but okay.
Fact is, he knows some of the players and he doesn't have the latitude to be able to comment on this case, I'm sure, as much as he would like to. He probably wishes it was in a different state.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Could be.
I'm sure that he wishes that he could comment on it as much as he would like to. I'm sure he has a lot of things to say. I'm sure he has some inside information about this judge and may even know him personally. Listen, you go to bar events, you go to cocktail parties, judges run for election. We know all the judges locally, so would not be surprised at all.
Yeah. The parking lot episode of Seinfeld was also really good.
Where they can't find the
because
car.
the way that ended was unscripted. Because I watched a little bit behind the scenes. So Kramer's carrying this air conditioner in the parking lot, and he really had a real air conditioner in there, which seems like a bizarre choice, but he insisted on it so he would feel the real weight and it would like really, influence his actions really. So he's carrying around the 75-pound thing for real. And then he gets to the car and the trunk is like barely bigger than the box, and he tries to swoop it in and it stops on the thing and he hits his lip. That's real. That really happened. And then like he tries to blow it off. And then the culmination of it was when they tried to get the car at the very end of the episode and drive away. It's scripted that the car starts. But when they actually try to start the car, it just goes and so like everyone is just laughing and breaking scenes. So like there's like things that are unscripted in that episode that if you watch the behind the scenes, it's like even more fun.
Where did you get the behind the scenes content? I mean, I would that's method acting. I would totally ask
from like DVDs and like DVD things that people post online where they like do behind the scenes clips. Yeah.
I mean, the guy who plays Kramer, it fascinates me.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen him lately. He's making so much money on residuals, he doesn't ever need to work again. A. Hettinger, I have a problem with jurors ever being interviewed in open court. So do I, my friend. So do I. And so do a lot of people.
I'm not sure about the residuals because if memory serves correctly, only Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David were partners in the syndication. So I'm not sure the degree to which the other people are getting any residuals.
Well, I don't know. I could look into that. But I think that the girl who plays Elaine, Julia
Louis-Dreyfus,
she's very wealthy outside of this. I think she comes from a very, very wealthy family.
I think she came from money.
Yeah, like a very wealthy family. I forget they own something. I think it's in the food business. I can't recall directly, but she's also been in a million series. Courtney says, I'm curious because JH Main Campus also got an IJ in September 22. So I wonder if there's more to the IJ or possibility of piercing the corporate veil in any of these cases.
I don't know. I don't know. That's going to be a long, hard slog in this fight. And the way these judges behave, I'd have to say no. Because, like, how long are we into this and we still don't have the IJ?
Right.
I would have, like, taken people out to, like, the woodshed and beaten them to death as the judge long ago. This is insane. That's what I think about. It's insane.
Yeah. I can't believe it's gone on this far either. And I mean, the number of motions in this case was insane. I mean, the number of filings alone. I mean, the number of exhibits, they're in the thousands. It's I've never seen there was 8 amended complaints in this case. I never had 8 amended complaints in any case that I ever had. Thousands of cases.
Not for nothing, but usually more than one amended complaint. So usually you get 2, the original and the amended. And anything beyond that, you need permission for. How do you get to 8? How do you get permission to file that many?
Keep changing your causes of action. Keep adding defendants.
How about no? How about no? You can't have an amended cause. How about no?
How about you should have already pled that the first time? May have been because she was a minor and the statute of limitations was still good. So they could have technically filed another lawsuit. So instead of filing another lawsuit with different causes of action and different players, they just let them keep amending because the statute of limitations was told while she was under 18.
Fair enough.
I mean, that's just my thought as we're talking about it. I really have.
But everything had already happened by the time they filed. So what new would have happened that they would have needed to amend for? It wasn't like new things were happening.
No, but as they went through discovery, they probably uncovered new things. I don't know. I'd have to go back.
That's fair. That's possible.
I'd have to go back and look at the different causes of action, because they kept changing their causes of action and just, adding to them.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right. You got anything more to say here?
It's bedtime for me. Sadly alone.
Good night, Bonzo. Oh, well, what do you think about doing that? Do you want to do the dating game show? I will totally host it.
I would love a dating game show, sure.
All right, let's
Yeah,
do
so
it, ladies.
I ideally would like to have children, hence the age range.
Okay,
So
so
like 18 to 35. I don't necessarily realistically expect an 18-year-old would want to date me, but it's like, why limit my options on the low end when I don't have to?
yeah, I mean,
I'm 42.
well, wait, I'm going to give you full screen for a second so you can tell us about yourself. Pitch yourself, and then we will
Okay.
we'll ask for contestants, and then you guys, I know we can't really beat this too much more to death. I mean, this hearing's going to happen whether we like it or not. Our suggestion is that Kurt will file a motion to quash on behalf of juror number 1 pro bono if he would like to. Now we're going to move on to the second area of that we'd like to talk about tonight, and that is perhaps, assisting Kurt in finding a wife. So he's going to pitch himself now to you for a few minutes, and if anyone has any questions in the chat, you can put them and I will put them up for Kurt. Okay, are you ready?
Sure, why not? Hi, my name is Kurt Mueller. I'm 42 years old. I was born in 1981. I have I have 2 college degrees, well, 3 college degrees. I graduated from Clemson University in May of 2004 with a computer science degree, BS. And then I also graduated from Clemson University in August of 2004 with a political science degree, also BS. I then started law school in the same month, August 2004, in Ohio, and I graduated in 2007 in May. I was in law review and I did the patent bar. I did the litigation certificate, intellectual property certificate. I did moot court mock trial. I was part of a law review. Then I started a law review. Then I took the Virginia bar. I lived in Virginia for 15 years. And now I live in Texas, which I love. I tend to prefer southern states. I like the warmer climates. I like wineries, breweries, distilleries. I find those to be a lot of fun. I like going to places and listening to live music. I tend to prefer not concerts. I tend to prefer more amateur or high-end amateur. So like going to like 6th Street, for example, where they have, just music and it tends to be really high-end amateur. I kind of like that more than professional shows. Like chamber music. Opera's cool sometimes. I like to read, but although I read a lot of court cases, I also do shooting to relax. I find it very calming. Have a successful YouTube channel. Some people think I'm intelligent. I know my way around technology. I'm also a pretty decent cook, incidentally, and people have seen my cooking streams. I can make various soups and chilies. I can do a pretty decent beef Wellington as a signature dish. I can, make steaks and stuff like that. I do laundry, wash dishes, clean up after myself. I keep my house in relatively clean order. As you can see, I'm relatively clean. Loyal. I'm a very loyal guy. In relationships, I like the little things. I like my love language is like the little things. The things I think about when I think about past relationships, I think about the really little things, like how I would give my girlfriend like paper towels because she needed it. Right. So that's my thing, like those little tiny gestures, or I was at the grocery store and I'd get her a chocolate bar just because I knew she would like it. Like those little tiny things is what I like in relationships. I am looking for a woman who wants kids, preferably does not have any. On the conservative side would be ideal, so our politics would be more aligned. And nice to look at isn't all doesn't always hurt. So I do like dogs. For the people who chat, I do like dogs, not the huge cat person. I make decent coffee. What else can I tell you about myself? Is 10 children too much? I'd probably be aiming more for around like 3 to 5. I have no preference on hair color. I don't have a preference on hair color. What Texas town? Currently I live in Austin, looking to move to Houston. Would I be open to meeting a friend of mine who meets my descriptions? Absolutely, Margaret. How do I feel about livestock, like growing up on or living in a really rural place? Perhaps, as long as I have high-speed internet, maybe. I do like video games. I play video games on stream. Just brought an SNES controller. I'm a technology guy. I just bought this thing in the background, which is currently kind of out of focus, to show my like YouTube stats. Like right now it's showing the weather, and in a second it's going to change to show you like my YouTube stats and stuff like that I've got. I know how to work the mic. See, like that, just changed it to show you stats. Can I say Worcestershire? I sure can.
Worcestershire.
My relationship with my parents is great. My mom and dad are married and have been married for 51 years. They live in South Carolina. They still are great. They're still very much in love with each other. My father and I are, very, very close, and so are my mom. We love each other very much. I usually see them about 3 or 4 times a year. How tall am I? I'm 6 foot tall. Do I own a home? No, I currently rent. Favorite season and why? I tend to like fall. I like the colors.
What qualities do you like in a woman?
Well, loyalty is number one. Sweet, kind. I want a woman who amplifies what's already good in me. Because I don't really think you can change a person, but I think you can amplify what's already good. Because you're just steering them in the direction they're already naturally going in the first place. So you can encourage their good qualities. It's hard to change something, but you can amplify what's already there.
Somebody
so
who
ideally, I'd like a relationship which she's amplifying my good qualities and I'm amplifying her good qualities. So we're both driving each other to excel in what we're already naturally inclined for.
Somebody who brings out the best version of you.
That too, in so many words, yes.
Right.
I said it more complicatedly.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Do you like green-eyed women? Somebody's asking.
I have no particular issue on eye color. Eye color and hair color does not bother me.
What's your geographical boundary? What's more geographically desirable? I mean, you live in Texas, so it'd be hard to date somebody who lives in Maine. I mean,
well, that's true. But my friend Leonard French met his wife when he was living in Pennsylvania and she was living in Scotland, and now they live in Luxembourg. So it worked out for them.
Well, that's interesting. Virginia Little says saying all the right things, but all my friends are too old. Well, I think people are thinking that 18 is too young. And if you think about it, like, you're what, 42?
Yes. So that would make
what are you going to have in
25
common
years
with
my junior?
What would you have in common with someone who's 18? Like, just like, what would you talk about? I mean, I don't know. I just find that
I understand this point.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand that there's not probably someone of me of that age range, but it's like, there's no reason for it. Okay, let me just put it to you this way. If the love of my life was in fact 18 and we were in love with each other, then your opinions as to our relative age gap would be mostly a screw you response because we're happy together. That's what also I'm trying to say.
No, I hear you. I hear that. I'm just saying, if I was to date somebody who is 20, like, I don't know what I'd have to talk to them about. Not that it can't happen, but I mean, you have pop culture references, you have musical tastes. I don't know if you've ever dated anyone who's 18 and you had,
I understand, but
conversation, you had things to talk about.
The age range I specified was for biological reasons, right? Because I want to have children. So I was like, well, I can't go younger than 18 because it's illegal. And 35 starts to have high-risk pregnancy problems, although, of course, it's possible to get pregnant higher than that. But, it's like, it's just a biological determination. So it's like, I'm just saying what's my biological range. And then I have criteria that's beyond that.
Well,
so like, I get everyone who's saying 18. I don't think that's realistic. But I don't see why I should artificially say, this is where I break down. It's like, I don't see artificially why I should say, for example, no less than 28. Because if she is 26 and, she's the woman for me, then why am I excluding her, right? So it's like, so I'm just trying to be as pragmatically logical as possible. I'm not trying to be creepy about it.
No.
Maybe you guys disagree with me. Maybe you guys think it's creepy. I don't know.
No, you should, open up the pool. I mean, you got to open up the pool, right? You're welcome, Laura. Thank you for thanking me for jumping on. I saw you sent me some Instagram messages. So
fine. 25. Okay. You win, chat. You win.
Here's the
All right,
thing.
25 to 35, you win.
Listen, we can, there are so many ways to procreate nowadays that you should not limit yourself to just the younger women, because you might find yourself with more in common with a woman who's older. I'm just saying. Who may appreciate you more.
Yeah.
Because like you said on the last stream that we did, you said you're being vulnerable, and so many women don't like that. They don't appreciate it when you're vulnerable. They see it as a sign of weakness. And I will tell you that older women appreciate vulnerability more, because we've been around the block. We've seen what happens with men who are narcissistic and, have no feelings. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe you shouldn't rule out certain age ranges.
No, the chat's convinced me. Anything younger than that is absolutely unacceptable. If she's 24 years and 11 months, that's right out.
No, I think, love has no age.
That's what I thought, but whatever.
What are you, old ladies or less drama? Old ladies. How about older ladies, or just ladies your own age? Stephanie had her last baby at 40.
I know it's possible. I understand that. But first of all, I think we all understand how biology works, and that the success rate tends to drop for women as they get older. So is it possible? Sure. It's also less likely. Also, it means it's more problematic to have multiple children. Also, if she's 35 now, because I'm saying 25 to 35. So if she's 35 now, by the time we date and court and get married, we're realistically looking at more like 37. So it's like, okay, I'm just trying to factor all the relevant issues into this equation because I thought this through.
Well, you said court, so you had me at court. So if you're planning on courting someone, ladies, did you hear that? He wants to court someone. That's something you don't hear. That's a
I'm in it
gentlemanly
for
thing to
marriage.
say. That's a
I'm in it
gentlemanly
for
thing to say.
marriage. I want the love of my life. I'm in it for marriage. I want someone we'll live in the same house. We will live in the same house and everything.
Household companions? Will you be
household companions? Yes.
Have you been
We
married
may even
before?
occasionally be in the same room at the same time. Who knows?
Have you been married before?
I've never been married before. No.
Okay. All right. So you don't have a crazy ex-wife. That's cool.
No children, never been married.
People want to know what you think about cholesterol, and let's see. Do you have siblings?
I have one younger brother who's married, just had his first child.
How about cholesterol and alcohol intake?
My cholesterol is fine, and my alcohol intake is much less than it's ever been at any point in my life. I probably have, at this point, probably no more than 3 drinks in any given day, and probably only drink once a week or maybe 2. Like my alcohol consumption is way down.
I think that he was asking about the person that you're looking to date. I didn't think he was talking about you, but tell us about the person that you're, looking to date. Do you want somebody who's a drinker and a sober person, a not drinker, a casual drinker? Is religion important to you?
I think it would be helpful if she drank sometimes, because I'd like to, go with her to wineries and breweries and distilleries, because I used to go to wineries all the time when I was in Virginia. I lived in Northern Virginia, and like most weekends I would go to wineries. It was great. You'd pick usually like in Loudoun, because I was in Fairfax County, and Loudoun has some great wineries. Although sometimes I would dip down to Charlottesville, where Thomas Jefferson's house is. There's some really great wineries down there. Dave Matthews has a winery down there, as a matter of fact.
Dave Matthews is from Charlottesville. When I was in college, Dave Matthews was playing in bands in Charlottesville, and I think he went to UVA, and that's a great town.
So I used to go to these wineries, and there were nice clusters together. So I'd pick like one winery and do a tasting at like 3 or 4 of them. And then like at the 4th or 5th of them, I would plan it. So I wound up at a place that had music, because Virginia had a nice directory, and they would tell you like all the things that were happening that day. So I know exactly where to be at the end of the day. So I'd go there and, have a glass of wine as I sat outside with the music and observing nature with the music in the background and listening to the birds. Fantastic. Great date. Recommended.
Have you been engaged? The ladies would like to know.
let me put it this way. I was in a relationship with someone for 7 years. I don't really want to talk about it because it's somewhat painful to me.
No.
So let's just pass.
So you've had long-term relationships. You know what it's like to commit. You're not afraid of
Oh yeah.
commitment. That
Oh yeah.
I think that's where we're going with that. Not afraid of commitment. Stooky 6, Kurt, I'm with you. You gave a practical age range, but open to true love. Chat, let Kurt be fish.
Thank you.
Describe a happy marriage, Kurt. Thank you, Susan. Susan's always coming in with the good comments.
Well, I think my parents are pretty emblematic of a happy marriage. They, they both do their thing as they do, but they spend a lot of time with each other, cooking and talking. I think like the most important thing in relationships ultimately is talking, because I'm thinking, me and my wife are probably going to have conversations about things. We might want to talk with each other occasionally.
Unless she's on jury duty, then you can't talk at all.
Yeah, we'll talk about something else. I think a marriage is. I'm sort of old. I'm sort of an old school romantic. I really like relationships that work out. I always get a little bit sad when people divorce, even if there's good reasons for them to get divorced, because I'm always a little sad that somehow they couldn't make it work. So I'm an old school romantic. Okay, here's what marriage is to me. Marriage is to me how you wake up with each other, how you go to sleep with each other. Can I get back on screen now, please?
Hold on a second. I put you on and I put myself on instead of you.
Right. Yeah. So marriage is how you get up together. It's how you go to sleep together. It's how you have breakfast together. It's how you greet each other. It's how you say goodbye to each other when one of you's leaving. It's how you greet each other when one of you gets home. That's what marriage is. That's what marriage is. To me, it's like, it's the everyday. Marriage is the everyday. Marriage is the want and desire to be with somebody. It's the want and desire to do things with each other. It's the want and desire to provide for each other in different senses of provide, but still to provide for each other. It's the want for people to have the other person excel and grow and develop and be what they can be. It's to be supportive, loving, nurturing, kind, compassionate, loyal. Yeah, I think that's what I would say. I think marriage is buying paper towels because I know she needs them. How about that for an answer?
How about bringing home a chocolate bar because she loves Hershey's with almonds. Just saying. All right. Well, what values do you want your partner to have?
Beyond just loyalty and kindness, which I've talked about extensively, I think would be helpful if she leaned a little bit conservative, because I'm conservative, and we wouldn't clash as much. Because I think in the end that values are much more important than hobbies, because having similar interests is bonus. But I think a successful marriage could work without any common interests. But I don't think a marriage can work without any common values. So I think common interests are more of a bonus than a requirement.
I think that you've thought about this quite a lot. Do you feel like you have to
I have thought about it a lot.
Do you feel like you have to argue every point like an attorney?
No.
So you're okay. You can compromise. I think that's where that was going.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the chat has seen that, because we've been talking about that, right? It's like, if you give me good information, I'm willing to accept it. Chat has seen me do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not boasting about it. You've seen me demonstrate it. You guys have seen me have a position, and you guys talk to me and no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. No, you don't like that. But you keep talking to me, and eventually oh, okay, I understand that. So you've seen me demonstrating it. It's not just me flouting it. It's or just saying it. You've seen it. It's yeah, so I would be receptive to my wife, and I mean, obviously she's my wife. I want to make her happy. So I mean, yeah, that seems obvious to me.
You've been swayed. Sam says divorce is sad, even a marriage that you want to end. It's hard. Yeah. The ending of everything is hard, I think. So it's an ending. even if you wanted it to end. Being able to talk is important. Having things in common is good, but chemistry is great, says Virginia
Yeah,
Little.
I'd say common values rather than chemistry, but I think we're pointing to the same thing.
Yeah. How would you handle the hard topics, says Smurf Anna? Do you keep things bottled or talk them out?
I think it depends a little bit on the circumstances of things, because sometimes someone's not ready to talk about something right away. Although I think it's from the Bible, but I like this line where it's like, "Don't go to sleep on your anger." It's like you should never go to bed angry at each other.
100% agree.
So I would say that.
Yeah,
And if
don't
things are
ever let
difficult,
anybody go to bed
if things
angry.
are difficult, like she loses a job or I lose a job or something else happens, then we have to figure out how to be supportive for each other. And I'd want to confront that, but what confronting looks like is going to be a little bit situation dependent. I mean, I am a problem solver. It's nature. I think it's natural to men. Men want to solve problems. It's like if my wife is unhappy, I want to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do that too, and I'm a female. So what astrological sign are you?
I don't really believe in the concept
of astrology.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still going to ask you the question. Do you refuse to answer the question?
I'm Capricorn.
Okay. I don't know a lot about
I have no idea what that means, but okay.
I don't know a lot about it either. Not one of the signs that I typically have in my posse. I'm Aquarius, so most of my friends are Libra, Gemini, Pisces. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird how you seem to have a posse of certain signs. But if you don't believe in that, then I guess we don't need to go there. Somebody wanted to know if religious affiliation was important to you.
No, I don't have any religious affiliation, so it's not a factor that's important to me. If religion is really important to her, that might be a problem, but I'm not a religious person.
Somebody says, I think that means you have a birthday coming up soon.
I do have a birthday coming up soon in January. You're correct.
All right, mine's in February, so we'll have 2 birthdays in a row. I wonder about the age range of women in the chat. I'm 55, says my miracle mama. Oh, okay. So Kestrel 42, I guess, is also Capricorn. She says, means we're stubborn. Are you stubborn?
I mean, I think the chat again I'd have to just point to the chat. I mean, I'm open-minded. I express my views. I'm honest. I'm direct in my communication. I don't hide the ball. I'm not mean about it, but I just speak plainly because I want to, again, it's about communication. I just want to speak plainly and just honestly. It's like, this is what I think. And so I don't think I'm stubborn. People have convinced me of things. And my mind changes as new information comes in. So I'd have to say, no, I'm not particularly stubborn.
So you're willing to compromise. It's all they need to know. It's all these ladies need to know. All right. So how are we going to take applications for the dating game? For those of you just tuning in, we have dedicated the second half of this stream to finding Kurt a wife, or at least we're going to send him on a fantasy date. So we are taking applications. We just heard Kurt talk about his wish list, and we learned a lot about him, and we learned a lot about what he's looking for. So we can drop my email in the chat, and I will take the applications, and then we will set up a stream to do sort of a dating game thing. Maybe you can ask questions. We'll have to workshop the format a little bit, see how we want to do this. But I did hear you talking about it on your, just don't call it uncivil match. And we'll see where we go from here.
I call myself uncivil law because the law itself can be a little uncivil at times, not because I'm uncivil.
That's right.
I thought it's a good name.
Right. Dave Matthews Band. Dave Matthews' birthday is January 9th. Is your birthday January 9th?
She wakes up in the morning.
You do know it. You've been studying.
Yeah.
All right. Any final thoughts before I let you go and say goodbye to the chat? I'll give you full screen for final thoughts, and then I'm going to go back to the chat for some more questions because I think that's just me again. Sorry.
Yeah. I just also I like improv comedy. I didn't mention that earlier. I've been doing a lot of improv comedy lately as a hobby. That's been a lot of fun. And I do Toastmasters sometimes for public speaking. That's fun. And also sometimes I do meetup.com because they have a lot of fun events. So that's a good way to find activities to do. And I've been going to the gym a lot more recently. And I've been losing weight, as some of you guys have so kindly commented on, because I've been getting over my depression. People have been commenting how my face is getting thinner and stuff. And I do see it too. Like, I have a long way to go, make no doubt. But like, I'm definitely getting healthier than I have in a long time. My favorite comedian is Mitch Hedberg.
Oh, he's funny. Do you like Jimmy Buffett?
Yeah.
Sharon wants to know.
Not a huge Jimmy Buffett fan. I know some of his materials. Changes in latitude, changes in attitude. Yeah, so I mean, I know some Jimmy. Yeah, I know some Jimmy Buffett stuff.
Isn't this the dating game theme?
I'm not a parrot head, that's for sure.
Scott, did you say that you, Scott, do you want to review the app? Scott, are you volunteering? Scott's one of my mods. Retired law enforcement. Do you want to review the app, Scott? Do you want to do it with me? All right. Look at Shanna says, Kurt's a catch, y'all. Let me know if you're interested. Don't forget to hit the like button, everyone.
My favorite album of all time is Nirvana Unplugged in New York. I don't know if that tells you anything.
Kurt Cobain. Wow. Can we get a Barbie girl? No more Barbie girl tonight. Did you learn any of the songs I asked you to learn? Did you learn Shallow yet?
No, I have not learned it yet. I didn't know I was supposed to. I thought it was just more throwaways, but I'll look into it.
I thought we were going to do some duets.
I'll see what I can do. Send me a list of the songs I'm supposed to learn and I'll get on it.
Tell me something, boy. All right, we will do that another day, another dime, another dollar. Say goodnight, Kurt. You've been on TV all day today.
Yes, thank you. It's been a lovely pleasure. And thank you, as always, for being such a great host. I think you're making wonderful strides. I think you're doing really well in your early YouTube career. And I think you should have a lot to be grateful for as you're getting started. So I think you're doing well. And your channel's doing really well. 20,000 as fast as you've gotten it. I think you're doing pretty solid. So you should have a lot to be thankful for. And, just keep kicking ass. You're doing great.
Oh, thanks. I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for you. And for these roses over here that I got from a secret admirer.
Who could it possibly be?
Good night, Kurt.
Right, we can sign off.
Hey, you know what? You can invite me on your show sometime too.
I will invite you on my show, but I'll have to set it up in advance. So if there's something particularly you want to come on and talk, how about that? If there's something particularly you want to come on about, just message me with some notice and I'll set it up so that you can come on stream with me. That'll be great.
Okay. Well, I go to you for the tough topics like the law and stuff. I talk about.
We could do a Supreme Court oral argument react if you're looking for a topic. I love doing those. So I haven't covered yet a lot of the Supreme Court stuff this term. So if there's a Supreme Court oral argument you'd like to cover together, I'd be happy to do that. That'd be great if you need an idea.
Well, I go to you for the tough topics like the law. I'm more about the human topics like, the mom
Humans
stuff
are complicated.
and horrible things that happen to children and, things like that. Like the stuff with the heart.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for coming.
I'll talk to you.
I'll see you soon.
Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was fun, you guys. What do you think? What do you think about that? Yeah, we should meet up. We should do a live stream, but I'm in New York and he lives all the way in Austin, Texas. So this is only our second time that we've ever met. So those of you who did see the first stream, he came on, he just came into the chat and he said, hey, you want company? And I sent him the link and he came on and it was our first time ever. And our channels are very different in a lot of ways. And those of you who know me know that I try and keep it clean and classy. And so when he came on, I said, okay, are you going to keep it clean? Or are you going to be nice to me? So I think that we've had a great time. And I think that we have brought out some of the best in Kurt and people have said that to me. And so I'm very, very happy about that. Sharon hopes he finds someone. So that's awesome. Thanks, Christina. It lightened up your mood. Today was so heavy and so many people emailed me with this Maya decision. And they said, I think you're going to go nuts on this. I think you're going to be crazy. I think you're going to be so upset. And so much of the stuff that we talk about on a daily basis on this channel and all the others that you guys watch, if you watch a lot of LawTube, is horrifying. and depressing and sad. And so sometimes I like to lighten it up a little bit. And I found that the last time that Kurt came on, we did that. And we spent half the stream just talking about stuff and life and things that had nothing to do with the horrors that we report on a daily basis. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we all need that. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for being a huge fan of mine. I found that, after our last show, people said, I'm seeing a whole new side of Kurt that I never saw before. So look, I'm here to help. That's all I can say. Some people say that I bring out the good in people. I don't know. Some people say other things about me. I've heard worse. Thank you, Galen. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it a lot. I don't know what you're saying. The interview is unnecessary. Oh, I thought you meant the interview of the girls that we're going to have on the dating game. But no, I see what you're saying. The interview is unnecessary for the juror. I do think, and I have surmised and hypothesized from the beginning that this was going to happen. I did think that the judge would have to, in order to dot all his I's and cross all of his T's, bring the juror in and ask him 3 questions. Did you talk to anyone outside about the case? Did you do any outside research? And did you have or come into this case with any bias? And if all of those answers were no, that would be the end of it. I certainly did not think he would do that in open court. I thought it would be done in chambers outside the presence of the public. Even though I thought the other attorneys could be there, I did not think that they would be able to ask questions, which is something that this order not only says, but it says, hold on a second. It said, it didn't even say that they can ask questions. It said that they can ask, what was the word that they used, you guys? I have to go back now and look at all of my highlighting. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Concepts. The court will permit the parties to suggest to the court additional concepts that the court may ask juror number 1. I don't even know what that means. What are the concepts that he wants to know about? Or that he's going to allow them to ask? So I thought it was going to happen, just not in the way that we're going to see it happen. This frightens me for safety reasons and many other. Why called cupcakes? Why, thanks, Fanny Pack. Thanks for asking. My logo over here says I am not a cupcake because I have this pink sign over here. I'm also, in addition to being a trial lawyer for over 30 years in New York and a working actor, I am a mother of 5. And that pink sign says, you cannot make everyone happy. You are not a cupcake. I will not make everyone happy, but I do make my cupcakes happy enough that they want to join my membership. So Melanie's Little Cupcakes is sort of a play on words, and also the fact that we do make each other happy, even though we can't make everyone happy all the time. You will get my opinions, whether you like them or not, because I'm not afraid to share them. And I do share them. And we keep it classy, we keep it kind, and I enjoy debate, but it needs to be respectful. So if you want to debate with me in the comments, I'm happy to do that. But if you personally attack me, my guest, my moderators, my channel members, my viewers, or each other, you will be timed out and you will be blocked, and guide your actions accordingly, because nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. No, he did not, Susan. He did not send me those roses. He doesn't even know my address. He doesn't even know my last name, I don't think. And he doesn't respond to my emails apparently either. So can you be a cupcake ironically? Sure. You can be any kind of cupcake that you want. Tina Moose, I'm sick and that juror 1 is being treated horribly by our legal system, as am I, as is Kurt. And Kurt has offered to represent juror number 1 pro bono. He will even get admitted pro hoc vice in Florida for the purpose of filing a motion to quash this subpoena. And that would be great. I think, I have a feeling that juror number 1 might actually already have an attorney. I hope he does. But, again, this is going to send a chilling effect to the entire jury system in the United States of America. And now it's putting a burden on jurors who did their civic duty for $17 a day in Florida for 9 weeks to now go hire an attorney. So maybe we could start a GoFundMe for juror number 1's legal bills. Although if juror number 1 goes to calls Kurt, he's going to do it for free, but then we could start a GoFundMe to set up a travel fund for Kurt to be able to go to Florida. I don't know. I have a lot of ideas right now. You guys are making the ideas happen. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. I'm so glad I make you happy. You make me as happy as the Grateful Dead makes me. And Dave Matthews makes me. That's why people come here, says Neuropilot. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Everyone hit the like button because that's what we do here on YouTube. And I think we kept it clean enough today and said not enough things that would have demonetized the stream right after it gets it goes out. And did I do TV shows, movies, and commercials? Well, so Toxic Brew, interesting story. I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, and my parents, we live outside of New York City, and my parents, every weekend, we were going to the city, and my sister and I went to acting class. And I was in an acting class with Anderson Cooper and Ali Sheedy from The Breakfast Club. And that was when I was about 13, 14 years old. And then I decided, that was a long time ago. There was a lot of competition, and I didn't want to be like having to audition and not getting parts. So I decided at the time that I would go to law school, because that way I could write my own script. I could still perform for a jury, and nobody could ever tell me that I didn't get the part. So I became a lawyer, and I did that for more than 25 years when it sucked the living soul out of me. I represented at least 50 or 60 survivors or victims, depending on your point of view, of clergy SA on Long Island against the Catholic Church, of which I am a baptized member. And those cases sucked the life out of me. And after that, I decided that litigation was not a peaceful thing for me, and that I should try and do something else and pivot and reboot. And so I decided I always wanted to be an actor, so why not be an actor? So I went to acting classes, and I met Bill Cannon of Police Off the Cuff at acting class about 8 years ago. And we were in New York City in an acting class together, and he was doing stand-up comedy. You know, he's retired law enforcement. If you don't know his channel, it's Police Off the Cuff. You should check it out. And then the pandemic happened, and the lockdowns happened. And then Bill started a YouTube channel. And then I was doing my thing, and I didn't really know much about Police Off the Cuff. But then the Writers Guild went on strike this year, like earlier this year. And all of a sudden, after the lockdowns, the industry was shut down. The Hollywood industry, New York television and film, shut down for a very long time. And then the strikes shut everything down again. So around last March, I said to Bill, Bill, I'm really into this Murdoch case, and I know you have a YouTube channel. Do you ever need a legal analyst to come on and talk about things? Because I was fascinated by Murdoch. And he said, yeah, come on. So I went on Police Off the Cuff, and I did a whole bunch of shows with him over there. And that was very exciting. And then when these strikes happened, I started this YouTube channel so that I would have something to do and keep myself from, jumping off a building. But yes, I did a lot of commercials when things were in full force. I've done a couple of TV shows on Discovery ID. I played the wife of a SK. I can't even say. I was on Evil Lives Here, a couple of other things. My IMDb page is in the link. And those are only things that are public. I've done a lot of films that have been at film festivals. And the day the world shut down, I had an amazing audition for the TV show Bull, which was with Michael Weatherly, if anybody remembers that show. And Bull was a jury consultant, and I nailed that audition to play a lawyer on Bull. And then the world shut down, and all the production shut down. And so I didn't get to do that. But that was my dream. And then I started auditioning a lot for Law and Order. All the Law and Orders are filmed in New York. And then the strikes happened. So now we are ramping back up again. And I'm hoping that I will get a job on one of Dick Wolf's shows. 3 of the Law and Orders do film in New York. So that's the long and short of what I've done. And there you go. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thanks, Donna, for loving me and my channel. Please sub, because, that helps the algorithm or whatever. I don't really know how this thing works, but I'm trying to figure it out. And we're having a really great time here. So we're going to have a members only before Christmas. I think I'm going to do it on Saturday. Miss Donna Marie, I will talk to you about the timing. We're going to just celebrate together and chit chat. And that's what we do. Try and lift each other up a little bit. The other day I did a live stream. My mods asked me to open Christmas gifts that they were so kind enough to send me. And the second half of that stream was all about lifting each other up, because so many people started talking about how they get really down during the holidays. And it's a sad time because they've lost people. And it was amazing for me to see you, all of you, supporting each other in the chat and the comments and lifting each other up. And people came on and said, listen, if you need someone to talk to, call me. It was so heartwarming. You guys are amazing. Minnesota Nice, thanks. New to the channel, just subbed and liked. Thank you so much. Awesome content. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for liking it. I appreciate that. Sharon Abby, Melanie, I drove past DU the other day and thought of you. You've won me over as a fan of your channel. Thank you. Thank you I went to law school at DU, University of Denver, and that is because I went to CU Boulder undergrad. As you can see, my logo or neon sign of the Buffs. Deion Sanders is the new coach. Let's hope he sticks around and we have a better season next year. Somebody said the other day, I thought that was a goldfish on your wall. But no, I didn't want to leave Boulder, so I went to University of Denver for law school. And that's the only time I've really lived outside of New York. So that is it. You can essentially smash the like button. Thank you. Yeah, put your DNA on some of that like button. Put your DNA on that like button, people. What do we got? What do we got, guys? Yeah, that was pretty awesome of Kurt to come on. He sometimes, somebody said in the chat that he said on his stream, which I was not watching because I like to have my own opinions and not be influenced by what other people say when I'm talking about court orders or court cases or testimony or documents, that he said he wanted to come on. So I sent him the link. Then I went through the motion myself, or the order. I'm sorry, the order myself, gave you my thoughts and brought him on. And it was very, very, very fun. Sharon, did you watch Better Call Saul? I was an extra on it and was alert. So fun. I was a child actor model, took classes. If you've heard of Robert Sella, we had the same age in high school. No, I did not watch Better Call Saul, but somebody said, I've heard many times that I remind them of the blonde actress who is on that show. I forget what her character name is, and I think that's the show. Better Call Saul, right? I can't remember. Oh, thank you, Nadia. I look like a young Michelle Pfeiffer. I will take that. I would gladly take that. I've heard that before, but that is like an amazing, amazing, amazing compliment. Hit the like button. Thank you so much, Susan. Tommy Bernhardt is the other Dave Matthews fan. See my poster? Bye. Bye. You're self-employed, binging all the Law and Order, CSI, NCIs, FBI shows. They keep me insane or sane. Are you saying sane? I watch Law and Order is on all the time. You can find Law and Order on every day on some channel. I've seen them all. SVU is my favorite. I love Elliot Stabler. I'm going to say it. He has his own show now. Law and Order. What's it called? Law and no. Oh my God. I want them to hire me and I can't remember the name of it. Organized crime. Organized crime. Thank you. Gina Farley, this issue is about free speech and people controlling it. Social media is scary to courts. Hilarious. Just go back in time when people complained about newspapers. Same. Yeah. Rinse, repeat. Yeah, it is. It is about free speech. But it's also about juror rights and the ability to juror privacy. And this is a slippery slope. I don't like it. It's going to hurt the jury system, in my opinion. Somebody said the other day that they were on jury duty. Who said that to me? Was it Galen? Was it you? Somebody said they went to jury duty the other day, and somebody actually said, I can't serve. I watched the Maya Kowalski case, and I see what's happening with juror number 1. So this is very, very, very widespread. This is very widespread. Can juror number 1 plead the 5th if it gets too personal? He can plead the 5th if he's going to say something to incriminate himself criminally, which I don't think will happen in this case. But of course, you can always plead the 5th if you think that's something that you are going to say is going to incriminate you in a criminal matter. Choosy Heretics believes in Kurt. Kurt did an amazing stream today on on Trump getting pushed off the Colorado primary election ballot. And he's a very, very smart guy when it comes to the law and his the way he can analyze decisions and Supreme Court decisions. And it was a very rational stream. I listened to most of it. And there's some very, very, very interesting concepts in that decision that could also be scary. So if you're interested in constitutional law and why what Colorado did may be a big problem, and if it's slippery slope as well, if every state is allowed to do what they think that they could do, whether you like Trump or not, or no matter what side of the political aisle that you're on, it's a very interesting concept of law, if you like the law. and to learn about the law. Hi, Melanie Schuyler. I watch all Law and Order, and SVU is my favorite. Swifter Sisters, if he does plead the fifth, there's no criminal issue and may push a new trial. I am sure that if he has an attorney, his attorney will guide him accordingly and will, explain to him all of the ramifications. And I just hope that he's going to have proper protection when he goes there. So, very, very interesting. Oh, that was not the one that I meant to highlight. Hold on. It was about the defense. I don't believe the defense actually wants a retrial. They know plaintiff can't afford to do it again. I mean, they can do it again. There's companies out there that finance plaintiffs' lawyers for case expenses. It can be done financially. I don't know what they want, to be honest with you. I know they don't want to pay. They don't want to pay. And they bill by the hour. Follow the money. Follow the money. Follow the money. Easiest way to figure out any situation is follow the money. It's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We're not going to branch off now into the Trump thing, but if you do want to see it about the whole Colorado thing, go watch his stream because it's very interesting. And the parts that I saw of it, he was very calm when he was discussing it in a very rational way. And he has been very open to other people's opinions and listens. And a lot of time he lately, I have seen him change his opinion, which is excellent. Yeah, it has been a comfortable evening of chatting. Yeah, it's nice to have a relaxing evening, right? It's just like people say this about my channel all the time. They're like, it's just like hanging out with like a friend and just chatting and interacting. And you don't have to pay money to have your comments highlighted and we can address you and talk to you. And that's the kind of place we are here. It's like a bunch of friends just hanging out. Dog Defender. Hi, Dog Defender. I see your comments all the time. You always have such nice comments for me in the comment section. I was in the business too. I didn't like it. I left at 21, started at 7. It is for some people, but it nearly stole my sanity. I think it's better to go in as a lawyer, savvy to all the games, etc. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, if you started at 7 years old, that's a really, really hard thing to do as a child. Now that I am much older and well seasoned, and I've met just about every kind of jerk there is, I think I can handle it better too. The rejection doesn't really upset me the way it did when I was a child. So, it's only one job and everyone auditions and one person gets it. So that is the way that goes. All right, my friends, thank you again to my moderators for keeping the chat classy, as you always do. I could never do this without you. Thank you to my channel members, my little cupcakes, for believing me enough and liking me enough to want to join my channel. Thank you to the viewers, the replay viewers, everyone who comments, likes the video, shares it out. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Tomorrow night, I have an amazing show planned at 9 p.m. Eastern with my friend and one of my fan favorites, Oblivious Benson, who is my personal Penelope Garcia. That's a Criminal Minds reference. And she, after I did those deep dive on 1980s cold cases on Long Island, did a further deep dive. And she's going to come in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to talk about all of the things that she's uncovered about all the SKs that have been in this area for a very long time. There are different modes, methods, and who could be attached to what. We're going to talk about Long Island. We're going to talk about Route 29, and we're going to talk about Colonial Parkway and all of the unalivings that went around in that area. She's got some great information. Come on back tomorrow night at 9. You're going to love it. Check out her channel. Remember, be cool, be kind, be classy. It's not hard. Peace out. Good night, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow night at 9. Come on back.